Now? All right, welcome. I'm Ryan Holger with TEC, and with me today I have Tom Piscatelli with SecureAire. Many of you guys know that we've done SecureAire stuff commercially for several years, hospitals and things like that. Well, more recently, SecureAire has developed a residential size product, same kind of technology, but just smaller. So Tom is going to join us today to go through that and explain that to you guys. We are utilizing this product now in the TEC Chicagoland market. So Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana market, we will have this product available to you guys. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Tom.
Thank you very much, Ryan, and thank you all for joining us today. I know your time is valuable, and I appreciate you investing this time today. And I'll do my best job to make sure that you get information that's important to you around IAQ and how you might integrate this into your business, both to take care of customers and how it might represent a very good business opportunity for you, which I'm sure you're going to see it is. So quick word on myself here, background-wise, and then we'll get into the agenda. I've been in heating and air conditioning for 45 years. You can probably tell by the wrinkles. Check it out. And spent 20 years with Honeywell, working all across the country with Honeywell around indoor air quality products, in sales, in field sales, working with distributors, manufacturers, and contractors. But IAQ was always at the top of the list for me. In fact, I was the indoor air quality product specialist for 2 years in Minneapolis, back in the day when the Honeywell F50 and the F300 were king of the hill. Some of you might be old enough to remember that. Since then, I worked for distributors. I've been a regional manager for 2 distributors, almost as good as TEC. And then about 20 years ago, I started training and consulting with contractors individually and created the trust in-home selling process and have spent a lot of time working with in-home salespeople, comfort advisors, selling technicians, and businesses in helping improve profitability. About a year and a half ago, SecureAire contacted me, knowing my background, and told me about their plans to get into the residential air purification business. Back then, I called it the air filtration business, air purification business. And when they shared the technology with me and the success they'd had in the very challenging hospital, commercial building, clean room arenas, I told them 2 things. I said, if everything you guys are telling me is true, I'm going to be in, but I just want to make sure everything is true. And second is you can build us a product that will deliver the same results in the residential market. So we started out a year and a half. The first prototype was installed in my home in June of 2018, and it instantly performed at even greater than the expectations that I had had. And that got me launched at working with the company, which I'm now employed by. I'm Vice President of Distributed Markets. And we are full force ahead and working toward helping as many people as we can get the benefits this product has to offer. What I'm going to show you is our product line and how this product line is exclusive to HVAC contractors. It's the installed market. That means this product requires your installation expertise to provide it, the benefits to the customer correctly. And we'll end up by talking about what it is we're looking for in a platinum dealer or certified dealer and what that certified dealer program is. If you're interested, we'd like to talk to you about signing up. So here we go with, we'll get started here. Our very first thing to talk about is our mission statement. So we're committed to providing a whole house air quality solution that will enhance the health and wellness of all persons. So I just want to expand that for a minute. And you folks are HVAC contractors, and the product that we are showing you today is exclusive for you. We are going to have a retail presence. I just want you to know about that up front. The portable type of air cleaner that somebody can buy online and plug in and take care of one room is something we are investing in, and we will have out probably by the mid-year or something like that. And that's a market that we'll have access to the product, but really the majority of that is going to go to the retail market. We have exclusive distribution on what I'm going to show you, and including the replacement cartridges. So none of our products are going to be available retail in any way. And then we have the commercial, industrial, hospital, clean room market, where we have been really since 2004 over 4,000 installations. TEC has been a partner with us along the way in creating the success. And we've had 100% customer satisfaction in all these years, with never somebody who didn't get the result they were looking for. I'm particularly proud of this result, that we've had 0 product failures since the beginning of 2019. So a tried and proven product. And what is especially significant about clean rooms in hospitals lends itself to significance in the residential area. So if you are going to prove yourself effective in a clean room, what matters in clean rooms is how much dirt, particulate that you remove from the room. So it doesn't matter what the effectiveness of the filter is. What matters is what's the effectiveness of reducing the particulate count in the room so it doesn't contaminate products or processes and things like that. And less is better. A clean room, really top-notch clean room, can be under 10,000 particles per cubic foot compared to like 1 million particles per cubic foot. So it's significant to keep in mind that where we grew up is in establishing that we can remove what's in the room and get it back to some place and capture it and keep it there and not have to have that come back into the space again. Clean room application, very significant for our purposes. And hospitals have a similar point, and that is hospitals not only care about particulates, but they care obviously about pathogens. Right now, people have had education in this last month about pathogens that exceeds the whole world's knowledge probably since the beginning of time. And we are now understanding that pathogens include a lot of things. Some pathogens are alive, like mold or mildew or bacteria. Other pathogens are inert. A virus is an inert object. It's not really a living thing. We now know that we have to breathe it in, and it attaches itself to a living cell, and then it infects a living cell, and it causes mutations that can cause horrible diseases, even death. So our technology had to prove that it could remove that stuff from the hospital room, and when it captured it, do something with it to render it inactive or to kill it so that it couldn't reproduce and it couldn't infect people. And that's what we do. So you're going to find out here in this hour that SecureAire is unique in both of these categories and a lot more. So I'll talk to you briefly here about the contractor market opportunity. My perspective, again, comes from 45 years experience in it. And back in the day, maybe your market was a little different. Perhaps Space Guard was king, but for most of the country, Honeywell's F50 and F300 were king. And back then we talked about dust mites and just charging particles and collecting them. I used to show a bottle of dirty water as evidence that the air cleaner is working. And arguably back in the day, this was the majority of technology that we had, the technology that we had available to offer to customers. And you could say that the HVAC contractor dominated in the market for delivering IAQ solutions to customers. Since then, years later, we have retail products of all kinds. We have electronic air cleaners, different technologies. We have media filters. We have UV lights. We have air scrubbers and PCO things and Guardian Remis and bulbs that shine UV in the airstream and bulbs that shine UV on a coil, and things that make oxidizers and radicals and ions and ozone and no ozone and some ozone or just a little bit of ozone. And if I were talking to you right there and I asked you this question, I'm sure you'd agree that it's a pretty confusing landscape. What's true and what isn't true? Where's the truth being stretched? How do these things impact my health? Really? How do they impact the air quality? Really? What can they do and what can't they do? And I hope to give you information here today that's going to clarify some things for you. And I'm going to actually challenge you to do your own research as well. Just don't take it based on what I'm telling you today. Dig in a little bit, Google some terms, I'll give you those terms, read some reports, I'll show you where to get the reports, and make up your own mind about what is important about removing things that are in the air that we're breathing, and what will different technologies do and what they do. So we're going to break indoor air quality into 3 categories. First is particulates, second is pathogens, and third are VOCs, or airborne chemical pollutants. Particles are all the things that are in the air that we can see and even can't see. In fact, if you see one piece of lint or dust or something floating in the air, there's probably 1,000, maybe even more than that, particles that are smaller that you can't see. So there are lots of them. So particles would be inert things and things that are created just because of people and houses and dirt and all that kind of stuff. Big things and little things, the smaller, the worse, to a worse impact we have on our health, as you'll see here in a moment. Pathogens are those things that can cause us health issues. So dust mites themselves never are airborne. They're heavy and they're big, but it's dust mite fecal matter or dust mite parts that are airborne, especially if you fluff a pillow. Don't ever fluff a pillow. These dust mite allergens can get into the air, and we breathe the allergen, and that causes an allergic reaction with some of this. Mold spore, as we know, can be at least an allergen. At worst case, it can even cause death, like black mold. Bacteria, we've talked about a little bit. Bacteria is a living organism. It has DNA. It is alive. You can look at it, if you Google it, you can look at it under a microscope, and the bacteria will be wiggling around a little bit. It's moving, it's alive. And then viruses, as I mentioned, viruses are capable of impacting life, but they themselves are not alive. They still have RNA, ribonucleic acid versus whatever DNA it is, I forget. But DNA is what is important for creating a living organism. RNA is kind of the precursor to it. And when RNA matches up with a living host, then all sorts of chaos occurs. So these things are important. Some of them can be airborne, and some of them are in the air that we're breathing. Otherwise, they're transferred by other methods like touching and so on. VOCs are arguably the most insidious of the three contaminants. And VOCs, airborne chemical compounds, come from everything. Anything that's in your home is off-gassing to some degree. If you bring something in from a store after you finish wiping it off with your sanitizer, it still might have a fragrance. Some things have, fragrances on purpose, like something that's intended to smell good, like an odorizer, or a box of tissue has fragrances in it. Or other things are intended to actually put things into the air, like essential oils or Febreze. If you Google Febreze and toxicity, those two terms, you'll come up with this article that I did, and it showed, this was right at the top of the organic search for Febreze and toxic chemicals. And there are over 300 chemical compounds in Febreze. 87 of them are separately listed as harmful to our health. In other words, don't breathe this, is what it says in MSDS forms in similar places, right? So they're bad. There's no regulation, folks. If you look at the testing that's done by the manufacturers and the reports that are published, there's no regulation on most of these things, especially VOCs, and what might be acceptable from a health-wise point of view and what isn't. And there are also no studies that talk about the interaction of these things. What happens if I spray Febreze and I have a PCO device in the air that's creating ozone or hydroxyl radicals? What happens if I just mix all these chemicals together and we have these particles coming in the house? Is there a reaction to that? It's not studied, it's not measured. ASHRAE is working on it. There are going to be new standards that come out here in the next couple of years, but we don't have it right now. So the question is a big one, and is what is the impact of having all of these things in the air, particulates, pathogens, and VOCs interacting like a chemical soup, and how might that impact my health? I think one thing we can say for sure is that if we have less of those things, that has to be better. Fair enough. So here's the publications. I'll show you how to access these on our website before we finish. This is EPA, American Lung Association, and ASHRAE, all three published journals in 2018, 2019, and they're all critical of most of these technologies except for media filter. Media filter meets their criteria as safe. It doesn't produce any harmful byproducts. I'm going to touch my face. Don't do that. And it doesn't produce anything that is damaging to the health of a person, and it will end up, it is proven to reduce things in the air that can cause health issues. So they agree that media filters are fine, except they talk about the downsides with static pressure and restricting airflow and the lack of maintenance and all those things we know that impact our heating and air conditioning system performance in every way. I'll come back to that a little bit later. So if you read one of these three, I recommend you go to the EPA brochure in the lower left. Again, I'll show you how to get to that. So here's my pitch to you, really an opportunity for you, is that contractors used to own the in-home IAQ business. We used to have it and we lost it. I want us to get it back. I don't want us to leave it to the retail market, let them take over with their $600 or $800 portable air filters that really don't do a lot, and in some cases produce harmful byproducts that can impact our health. Let's give people the truth and an opportunity to do the right thing and put something in that can protect themselves and their family for years and years and years and without any harmful byproducts. We're the only potential whole house solution that exists, and we can own this business again. So 3 things for you to consider. You have an opportunity with IAQ to differentiate yourself. If SecureAire is something you choose to offer, the customer doesn't want to invest that amount of money, you can offer them a next system down and another system and a 4th system. Just give them some choices, tell them the pros and the cons, let them pick one for themselves, but at least give them the respect that they want from you and let them have the information about the solutions that are available. So I'm going to ask you, if you decide to become a SecureAire dealer, that you actually include IAQ solutions as part of your proposals. Talk about more about that later. And the bottom line for you is, as you probably know, when you add one enhancement like this at a couple $1,000s or so, or even a little less, you can double your net profit. Your incremental labor doesn't change, your overhead doesn't change, and it can be a very, very nice thing for the balance sheet. Or the P&L statement, sorry, and the balance sheet. So Ryan, you're going to trigger me if we have any questions. I haven't seen anything pop up yet, so I'll just keep going.
Yep, correct. We don't have any questions right now, but imagine once you explain how it works, then questions will get generated, I'm sure. If you guys don't know, there's a question box in the bottom right-hand side. You can just type it in, and then I will rudely interrupt Tom and ask your question.
It won't be rude, it'll be flattering, because you've apparently been listening and not just sleeping, so thank you for that. Okay, so here's the product. If you've seen a Honeywell F50 or an F300, you're going to say, wait, that looks familiar, and it does on purpose. We designed our cabinet to be identical to the best-selling air cleaner of all times, and so our cabinet sizes are identical, 6 3/4 inches wide. So if you have a Honeywell coming out, it'll push right in, hoping the ductwork is adequate, of course. And then the opening dimensions for the connections are 20 by 25, 16 by 20, 16 by 25, and 20 by 20. Our most popular sizes in the Midwest, the 16 by 25 and 20 by 25. I'll get into specs here on another performance here in a little bit. That's the only similarity, though, is size-wise. The metal itself, the cabinet, is a grade above in terms of sheet metal thickness. It's much sturdier, so if you never had a problem putting a furnace on top of an air filter in the past, you're double never going to have a problem with ours. If you open up the door, you'll find that the door is completely sealed on the inside with a gasket material that blocks all airflow bypass. There's a magnetic latch on it so that you don't have to worry about people twisting things and maybe pulling a compression latch off with a lot of pressure. That this thing comes off very nicely with a magnetic latch, and you don't have any risk of people being on a stool on a counterflow furnace real high and pulling one of these things off, then falling off the stool, which has happened. So if you open up the door, then the cabinet door, you'll reveal the cartridge, air purification cartridge, not a filter. And air purification cartridges are going to do 3 things: capture particulates, pathogens, and eliminate the VOCs. And so you pull out the cartridge, 1 3/4 inches thick. It's not 2 inches, so on purpose, so a 2-inch can't actually fit in that space. Why would they do that anyway? I don't know, but it has come up once or twice, and no, it can't fit. No other cartridge will function in our system. The filter and the power supply and that technology are all integrated as one complete system.
Hey, Tom.
To install it,
while we're talking about that, this question from Jesse sort of relates. Will the
Sure.
assembly retrofit with existing F100 air cleaners, or does the whole cabinet need to be removed and replaced with a SecureAire cabinet?
That's a great question. So you're going to remove the entire cabinet the power supply on top, which you can see, is completely integrated with the frame, and it's not something that could be bolted on. And you want it that way, guys, because the power supply is half the magic, the filter technology, the cartridge technology, the other half, and we don't want to mess with that. If you ever have a problem, I'll tell you about this amazing warranty later. If you ever have a problem, any problem with the functionality of the system, we're going to replace the whole unit, so you don't have to worry about that. There are no replaceable parts.
Tom, the other Tom asks if it creates high static pressure. I don't know if you're going to cover that later or not, but that was one of his questions.
Well, sure, let's answer it. So ask that Tom what he considers high. I'm not being clever. I just am curious what he thinks high is.
All right. While he's thinking about that and writing us back, Jeff asks, how long are the cartridges good for? Replaceable or reusable cartridges?
They are replaceable. And this is an interesting topic because we have a re-education for our own purposes here for our contractors to do around this technology. This technology does not sift things out of the air like a regular filter does. Filter materials are woven fabrics, and we know that when a particle drives into that pleated filter, that particle is going to drive all the way to the bottom part of the pleat, fill up the holes, and then work its way backwards, right? We all know that. So the intention of those is to capture particles by impingement or to make them clog the hole. This does not work that way. I'll go through detail on how the technology works. But this cartridge will hold 6 months at least in 99% of the cases, and it could go for a full year without the static increasing to the point where you have to replace it. So we're going to replace them based on static pressure increase, not based on time and not based on some sort of random purpose, right? Filter, just like a service agreement interval or something like that. So did Tom tell us what is static pressure?
He did not. He probably didn't know that what we wanted.
Okay. So I have an example. I'm prepared for this. So here's a Filtrete. You all know this one, right?
Yep.
The most common filter sold residentially that exists. And they just started recently publishing what their pressure drop is on the back of this. First question is to the audience, what is the total static allowance on a non-ECM blowered furnace? What is the total static allowance that the blower is designed to overcome for the total static measurement? I'll wait for that.
We have a lot of answers of 0.5.
Correct. Very good. So 0.5 has an allowance to it, right? 0.5 has an allowance of 1/10 for the return, 1/10 for the supply, 2/10 for the coil, and 1/10 for the filter. And if the static exceeds that, I would ask this if we could chat more, but we won't. If the static exceeds that allowance, everything bad that can happen to the heating and cooling system and its performance happens. The static increases and the noise goes up, maybe objectionable. The static increases and the blower motor has to work harder, shortening its life, increasing repairs. The amperage goes up, increasing electrical costs. The amount of air that we can deliver back to the farthest room decreases, so comfort goes down. The efficiency of the system goes down, so operating cost is up, and the life expectancy of the equipment goes down. All true. So if we exceed 1/10 of an inch, all those things start to happen. A Filtrete clean is 0.4 inches. That's choking it off. And if we couple that with many homes not having adequate return air, and then you put a high static filter in, it's just a kiss of death. And you Bryant carrier dealers know this very, very well, because you have controls now that read the system pressure static, and you know that oftentimes you put in a brand new system and you're fighting to get it down to 0.8 on an ECM system, and sometimes you're hovering around 1.0 clean, let alone what happens when it gets dirty. So here's the answer to a question that was asked 5 minutes ago. We are currently, and we're about to go lower, we're currently under 0.14 inches of static across this filter, and it will stay there for months. Example, this is a cartridge I had in my house for 9 months, and when I put it in, I measured the static across it. It's pretty dirty, which you can see, and this was the color of it when it was clean. Pour that off so you could see. So it's pretty dirty, and in 9 months, constant fan, just two of us here, pets, but still constant fan, the static went up 0.06. So the answer to the question about how frequently should we replace it, it depends. If they're cycling their heating and cooling system with the fan with heating and cooling, so they've got 3,000 hours of fan operation time, and they have just 2 or 3 people living in the house, even with low returns, issues, things like that in carpet, I would say it could go as much a year. If they have 2 dogs, carpets, 2 low returns, the kids are running in the hallway all the time, constant fan, then 6 months. So 6 months up to a year. And the business strategy I'm going to encourage you to do is to include the first cartridge when you sell the system, and include a service agreement when you sell the system, build it into your price. Then you're scheduled to go out in 6 months. Your tech does the drop across the filter, finds out where it is. He had the record from what the install was, and if it gets to 0.2 or 0.25 across the filter, then change it. And if it's under that, then tell the customer, congratulations, theirs is going to last a year. Long answer to a short question. Did any more pop in there, Ryan?
We have a ton of questions. I can start giving them to you as they come in if you want.
Yeah, if they're sure, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. So Kevin asks, what's the MERV rating on these systems?
MERV 15. And Ryan and I talked about that just the other day, because he asked, and I'm going to upgrade our specification sheet to show that number.
Yep. And I believe you already sent me a draft of that.
Very good.
Jasper asks, can you use these in horizontal applications?
Horizontal, vertical, upside down, inside out. I mean, the unit is multi-positioned. It just does not care.
Tom asks, is it equal as a regular media filter, or will it have more resistance return air? I think we kind of answered that already. Oh, he says we already answered that. Never mind. Joseph asks, do you have a manual static pressure? Do you have to do a manual static pressure test, or does the system tell you the static pressure, like with an indicator light or something like that?
Tell Joseph we're going to hire him for the advanced feature team, because that's in the plan, and we're at least a year away from having something that will be integrated with the system.
Nice. And then for you guys, as Tom indicated before, that do Carrier, Bryant, Heil, day and night, those kind of things with us, if you're putting in those systems with the right wall control, you can get the static pressure drop from the wall control, and it will alarm you when you get up to what it's decided is a high limit. So you can get a little bit of that if you have that particular type of furnace or fan coil installed.
Right. So a cool thing with those controls is you can take the filter out, look at the monitor, put the filter back in. That tells you exactly what the drop is across the filter. Real simple. And when you do that brand new, then you can set your setting for when you want it to trigger the alarm for replacing the filter, customized based on the data that you have. I love that whole concept.
Frey has a difficult question we may not be able to answer here, but how would we know if the ductwork is sized right for this product?
So for that question, I would take a page out of the National Comfort Institute guidelines or any manual D training you guys have done, and there are charts that show you what the maximum airflow capacity is with the measurement of the duct. So 16-inch, 18-inch, 14-inch is going to handle flex, is going to handle X CFM. Then you compare that with the blower capacity, 3-ton system, 1200 CFM. If your ductwork can only handle 1080 and you're supposed to be pushing 300 or 3 tons, 1200, we don't have enough return air. And that will be, that'll be part of the training that I'd love to support you guys with, is how to find that out by taking measurements, using a chart or a ductilator if you want, or there's some other resources to do that pretty quickly. Then I would coach you on how to sell that. The fact that you're doing that is evidence to the customer that you're not just putting an air cleaner in, you're looking at the whole system to make sure the air purification system is going to deliver the benefits that they deserve for the amount of money they're going to invest. Great question.
We've gotten tons of questions about costs of replacement cartridges. I don't know if we can address that now or if we need to get everybody like some pricing documents later. I'm not sure.
We can. 1 second. Well, oh yeah, here it is. So Mike had sent me the over-the-counter pricing, and we're going to tell you about a program where you can become a certified dealer. It's just certification just means you're in the residential replacement market. You promise to go through the training with us. You take care of your customers. I know you all do. You provide good service, good reputation, that sort of thing, and you agree to offer our products when you make proposals, and you buy a few to get started. It's real simple. And so this would be the over-the-counter pricing. You'd be discounted from these numbers if you became a certified dealer. And the cartridge, replacement cartridge over-the-counter is $67. And it'll be a little bit less, of course, if you're a certified dealer. And the over-the-counter for the unit itself is $11.59, and a pretty significant difference when you become certified. So round numbers, guys and gals, think of this as a product cost of somewhere around $1,000. And if you've been installing other IAQ products that ionize or do some things to particles in the air, and then matching it up with a filter, maybe putting in a UV with it, add those 3 numbers up together, or those 2 numbers up together, and we're not too far off at $1,000. And as I continue here today, I hope you're going to see that this thing does everything that any combination of products can do, does it better with incredibly low static pressure, protecting your equipment, and no harmful byproducts. This is the grand slam of IAQ products. Next question, please.
All right, let me hit these last 3 that are on here, and then we'll continue on with the presentation for everybody, and we can come back to questions again.
Cool.
Williams is more of a comment. He's suggesting that when you guys make the tweak to have the idiot light on there, that you can in fact just put sampling tubes in there and have the tubes sticking on the outside of the cabinet for people to hook their meter to. That was just more of a comment.
No, you have to have a measurement with a digital manometer, or any of those devices. You take a measurement right before the filter and right after. And if there's a way for us to do that, I'm intrigued by it. If there's a way for us to get the right measurement ports out of that, then we will do it. Thank you for that outstanding suggestion.
All right, the last ones here, I'm going to lump them into one large question from all these different guys. One person wants to repeat what size the cabinets come in. Doug wants to know if they come in a 30 by 24, and some folks have asked if there's even larger ones than that.
Anything over our largest unit, which is 20 by 25, would be a commercial unit, which you guys represent. And the 4 sizes are 20 by 25, that's a 2000 CFM unit, 16 by 25, and 20 by 20 are both 1400 CFM rated, and 16 by 20, which is probably not a popular size in your market, would be 1200 CFM.
All right, let's keep the questions coming in, guys, and we'll let Tom continue on for a little while here, and then we'll do another question break.
Cool. Thank you for all those great questions. Thank you. So to install it, you're just going to unscrew 8 sheet metal screws, 4 on the top and 4 on the bottom of that white frame in the front. There are 3 wire grids. You're going to pull them all out. They're pretty securely in that channel. They're tight in that channel. The metal grid slides across the channel and it impacts a metal connector at the top part of the channel. That's how we get the power from the power supply down to the grid. The grids are all the same. You can flip them around 180 degrees horizontally, put them in backwards, so to speak. You can flip them upside down. You can reverse the order. It doesn't matter. They're identical. If you want to, and then you pull the grids out and then you install it. Hook it up to the furnace or the air handler and then connect it to the ductwork. For power, you just take the 8-foot electrical cord that we provide. There are 3 circle grommeted connections on the back of that cord. You run it through the grommet with the strain relief, and you take the screws off the terminal strip, put the round grommets down on there, screw it back in, close up the access panel, turn on the switch, and you are done. This runs 24/7. You can't run other types of air filtration products without a fan, as most of you have learned maybe the hard way. Take a guess why you can run this without worry on all the time, even if the fan's not moving? You're not saying it, but I heard you. Even here in Seattle, I heard you. And that's because we don't make any ozone. There's no ozone. None. 0. ASHRAE's standard testing for ozone says you have to put a device that will measure ozone to parts per billion, 1 inch from the downstream side of the purification device, 1 inch. And so when you do that with all these other technologies, all of them will have some reading. PCOs, ion generators, UV lights even, they say no ozone, there's always some. It has to happen. It's part of physics. And so 1 inch downstream, they all make it. Even if it's 40 parts per billion, which is considered no or safe, it's still some, and we make 0. So one of our selling advantages is if the customer is interested in the best solution and they're sensitive to anything, any byproducts that might be coming into the house, this solution would do all these other things and it makes 0 ozone. Nice selling tool. That's it on the product, unless anybody has any questions. And we already answered them, so I think I'll move on, Ryan, unless you stop me. Okay.
Yep.
So these 5 things, folks, these 5 things are often accomplished with other technologies, but none of them are accomplished all with one product. So a PCO or an ion generator, photocatalytic oxidizer, or an ion generator, and SecureAire all will create ions. And ions are important because ions, as a charged particle in the air, will attract other things like magnets. And it will attract them till they get big enough that they can get caught up in the airstream and moved back to capturing device. So creating ions is good. We include the capturing device. We include the high efficiency cartridge that's capable of capturing and containing airborne contaminants. So you think, well, capture and contain, what's the difference? Well, capture is, can we stop it? That's a MERV 15 versus 13 versus 11. And contain means, are we not going to let it back out? If we look at VOCs, for example, if you use a charcoal filter or potassium permanganate type technology commercially, once those get saturated like a sponge, if you don't change them, then whatever you absorbed into the charcoal is going to go right back out in the airstream, so it's not contained. With this technology, we capture it, we contain it, and we kill it. Now there's a difference between killing technically here and inactivating. Our technology is labeled inactivate, and inactivate applies to the pathogens that are dormant, that are potentially can infect and cause damage, mutational damage with a cell, a host cell. So that would be a virus. We inactivate viruses and we kill the bacteria and other living organisms. So mold, mildew, bacteria, we're going to kill it. We cause cellular stress on it. We kind of make it break down. The outside of the cell membrane breaks down, it's dead. With the pathogens, with the viruses rather, the energy field that we have, and I'll show you here in a few minutes, the energy field actually, think of it as an energy beam, Star Wars, an energy beam that zaps the RNA in a virus and vaporizes it. So the thing is inert now and it can't cause any problems. Fourth, we don't have any negative byproducts, so read the literature. Ozone, hydroxyl radicals, friendly oxidizers, which is an oxymoron. Can't be such a thing as a friendly oxidizer because they all damage lung tissue. We make zero. And fifth, we're not going to impact the performance of the HVAC equipment with the lowest possible static pressure of any filter. Even most 1-inch filters are not don't have the low static capability that we have as our MERV 15 at 0.14. And 0.14 is going to go down very quickly. Okay, so you want some proof. At least a third of all people are analytical and are skeptical. And so 1/3 of my audience at least is saying, okay, yeah, but prove it to me. So, and I respect that. So here's the proof. First proof number 1, particulates. Do we remove particulates? So here's an operating room, 1 week worth of operation, measuring, if you look on the far left, 0.4 micron size particles. 0.4 is in the middle of the particle range by number of. So if you look at number of particles in the air, 0.4 is kind of in the middle, and 0.4 is also of a size that if we breathe it, our lungs don't stop it. It goes down through the lungs and gets absorbed into the bloodstream, and there it goes to every organ in the body. I'll show you a video here shortly. Every organ in the body, and it's been proven now that particulates can cause and will cause things, including dementia and, well, COPD and, of course, allergies and even problems with cancers and things like that. So we'll agree that fewer particulates are better. So in this operating room, on the left, we have a MERV 14 HEPA filter and 18 air changes an hour. Fresh air, essentially every 3 minutes. And you can see the particle count peaked at 300,000. At that size particle, the most difficult particle to collect and capture. In the adjacent operating room, over the same 1 week period, with our product being used, 18 air changes an hour, so an apples to apples comparison, we dropped the particulates compared to that HEPA by 94%. In other words, it was a 10-to-1 improvement based on the best technology that has existed and the best stuff that have been used in operating rooms. That one little spike you see there, somebody left the door open at night. We're not taking any claim on that one. All right, so if I were there, I'd say, does this compel you to believe that we're good at removing particles? And I think most of you will say that's good. Second is pathogens. In this study, Mark Hernandez, who is reputedly the best, most knowledgeable person to test effectiveness of technologies at removing pathogens and destroying them in the country. And so he did this study, and it was in a hospital type environment, and we used Bacillus subtilis cells, which is an anthrax surrogate. So it is essentially as tough as as the anthrax bacteria, which is among the most difficult to kill. So think of the Bacillus subtilis as King Kong of bacteria, And if you can kill King Kong, then everything else is like hitting rabbits with a stick. No, don't, that's a bad visual. Never mind. It's like shooting ducks in a barrel. Oh, maybe that, well, you know what I mean. It's easy.
Do you
So
have any references that don't involve animal killing today, Tom?
yeah, we don't want to do that. Politically incorrect. So you can read what I see, what I have up here. And in 3 hours, we eliminated all of the Bacillus subtilis in the room. It wasn't measured at the filter. It was in the room. It was gone. So we published like 94%, 95%, because 99 doesn't always have credibility. But in the exact test, he couldn't find any. 3 hours. That's pathogen reduction. Third are VOCs. And this is a kind of an awkward thing, but in healthcare facilities, some of us know, unfortunately, that the seniors who live in these places, sometimes their body odors and urine odors from diapers and things like that, the odor in one of these facilities can be pretty strong, very obnoxious. And so since we're in the hospital environment already, we've often been brought in to help eliminate or reduce the odors. VOCs are relatively easy to monitor. So in this test example, we put one of our small units in a room, monitored the VOCs, and just waited 30 minutes. And in 30 minutes, the VOCs had dropped from 4.6 to 0.34, 92%, and the odor was gone. Somebody walking out of the room and into the room, the odor was gone, zero. So particulates, pathogens, VOCs, we have lots more evidence that I'll share with you about the effectiveness if you need one. Okay, so I think that brings us up to that.
Can we do some questions, Tom?
Absolutely.
All right, so Jasper and Tom both ask what the warranty is.
All right, you're already thinking about selling it. I see, I'm a sales guy, so I look at that as a buying signal. So you would expect a product like this to have a good warranty, and good warranties are like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, but the way I'm bragging about it, it better be as good as the best. So when you become a certified dealer, then you get a 10-year full product replacement warranty. If the power supply fails, we're going to replace the whole unit. For the first 5 years, we'll include a $200 labor allowance just to pay for your labor to go out and change it. We're going to give you a brand new unit, take the old one back, give you $200. And if this ever happens, and it never has, nobody's had an issue with warranty replacement yet, then we will also, you're also going to sell them some other filter, so you have a few bucks coming back for profit to offset what you might have lost. And in addition to that warranty, I'm also going to give you a 90-day satisfaction guarantee. That says when they put it in, they have 90 days to give it a test drive. And if you guys want to use this, there's no charge to you. You agree that if they don't like it after 90 days, you'll refund their money, and I'll back you up again with $200 labor and another brand new unit to put in. So all you have at risk is your potential profit. How's that warranty sound, guys?
Great.
Yeah.
Jim asks if there's an option of 1 inch wide filter option for houses that can't fit that filter rack.
Tell Jim that it is on the closest burner we could get to the front burner, but we're going to be a ways away. I just will share you with you that this technology can work in a narrower cartridge. It won't be MERV 15, but it will still do the pathogen kill. It will still reduce VOCs, and we'll just leave it at that. And that'll be our business. That's ours. That's not retail.
Jesse asks, can you use this in conjunction with a bipolar ionizer, or do you have to remove that device?
I would encourage you to remove it because all ionizers create ozone. Ionizers create ions by establishing a high voltage level with a point in the device, and that in order to create ions, you have to hit at least 5,000 volts. When you hit 5,000 volts, you create corona, like the cigar or the beer. Google it, and you will find that when you get to corona, then you create ozone. Even if it's a small amount, you create some. So the ion generation is redundant. We already do it for you. And the ozone we don't need, so you don't need it. I would take it out.
If you're going to Google that, Google Corona ion discharge. Otherwise, you're never going to get to it. You're like the 50th page on there these days.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Wayne asks, what is the bypass rate?
The bypass should be close to 0, and we'll measure bypass based on how much airflow you can see coming around the door, around the neoprene gasket. And we have so far 0. I had one complaint actually with bypass, if that's what he's referring to. I had one complaint, and then we found out that the guy had installed it and had run his 24-volt wire for his thermostat down inside the channel that when we pushed our door closed, it was actually leaving the door open a little bit, and we were bypassing around it. I don't know why he did that, but he did. So I'm going to say 0 bypass.
All right, as you can imagine, we have like 50 different people asking about the ability for this to kill the coronavirus.
You bet. So all things in the air, particles, pathogens, and VOCs are all particles. So this is a mind change for me. I didn't understand it. I still had to go through a process to rechannel my brain on this. Everything in the air is effectively a particle. Science looks at particle control, including chemical compounds. Okay, so everything is a particle, and our technology impacts everything exactly the same way. So if it's a bacteria or virus or a Febreze compound, our technology impacts the same. So we're going to be completely oblivious to what it is, but we're going to capture it in the room. We're going to grab it from the room. We're going to make those particles get bigger. And once they get big enough, they're going to get back through the return to our cartridge. And once they're in the cartridge, we're going to expose them to an intense energy field that if it's alive, we're going to kill it. And if it's a virus, we're going to inactivate it. And that will happen 100% of the time. So we haven't studied the coronavirus specifically, but it's going to be as effective as anything that exists. I will tell you that we have 2 that I know of. I could get the names if they're important. We have 2 facilities in the country right now that are treatment centers in hospitals for COVID-19, where SecureAire is installed, and is installed specifically because they believe it's the most effective remedy at preventing coronavirus from making the situation worse for these people. And our hospital business guys, we're a little premature in announcing this session here. We're backlogged so much it's like an impossible dream. We're working at it real fast, and our hospital business is backlogged, as you might imagine, incredibly right now.
Tom,
that's the best answer I have for you.
What's that?
That's the best answer I have for you. And I do have a paper, a technical journal that will give you even more confidence. While you ask your next question, Ryan, I'm going to go to that paper and let everybody see it.
There's 4 or 5 people that are asking about the availability of a freestanding portable unit. I don't know if they missed that early on. Maybe they jumped on late. But 3 or 4 of them are asking about that, if there is one.
Yeah. So, guys and gals, we're going to have one, but we're going to sell retail to the public. We'll call that kind of the bad news. There's 2 good news pieces to that. The good news is it'll be available to us with a small discount. It's not going to be a big profit center for you because we don't really add much value. If you deliver it and plug it in, how much is that worth? But you are going to have customers who have hydronic heat, electric heat, ductless systems, where you might want to sell one, and we'll get it to you at the best possible price that we can. Here's the really good news. The retail on it, which we're controlling, is going to be $23.95. Now, $23.95 is about where you would sell this for and make a very, very appropriate margin on it. So I'm excited about retail because that's going to price condition the consumer to see SecureAire as the best possible solution to their indoor air quality problems, including killing pathogens like bacteria and inactivating viruses. And they're going to see a single system at $23.95, and that makes the whole house solution from you look a whole lot better. So I'm going to show you this white paper here real quickly, please. This was just published a month ago, and the timing is kind of incredible. If you were a doctor or a scientist, then you would be a subscriber to the American Journal of Infection Control. The American Journal of Infection Control is a publication that is very difficult to get into. You have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that what you're saying in these articles is absolutely true. And it took us almost a year to get this published. I'm sorry, I double clicked on this. Let me expand it now for you. And I'll share my screen. Oh, wait, no. Can you see my screen, Ryan?
I see a screen of yours. With
Does
the
it
one that
say
has the
American Journal of
article and press,
Control?
American Journal. Yep, that's the one I see.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So this article right here, published in the American Journal of Infection Control, includes Mark Gareth, Dr. Mark Gareth, who is Professor Emeritus at Mayo Clinic. He has sought out and support SecureAire because he has seen the impact of reducing airborne contaminants that can cause health issues, and that's his personal mission. Don Hess is the inventor of SecureAire technology. Abigail and Mark are highly regarded in testing from a scientific community and testing pathogens and proving the effectiveness of technology. And Frank, you guys know, is our CEO from SecureAire. And this article is published and validates our technology, and it speaks to the effectiveness of removing all pathogens and in either killing them or inactivating them. So if you have somebody or you personally want to be confident that what we're saying is true, read that article, share it with your customers. It's on our website, and I'll show you exactly where it is before we go. Good? Ryan, my leader, are we good?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. You want me to go with some more questions, or you want to go back to the presentation? We could go.
Well, it's probably more effective to answer their questions than me to bounce.
I'm good with that. So
Yeah.
Bob asks, why is the 10-year warranty only for certified dealers?
So it's our way of knowing that a person meets the guidelines we're looking for. It's not that I'm not suggesting you're not an honest dealer or you do good work. If we're going to have this available, then I feel it's fair for us to have the same standard for all contractors. So this way, I know you've been trained because I trained you. I know that you're gonna promote it correctly because we've looked at it and we've talked about it. I know you're gonna help establish SecureAire as a brand by offering it on your proposals. And those are not, I don't think, unreasonable requests in a partnership that's gonna bring you a product that's gonna help you take care of customers in a much better way, and also look for a long-term relationship where we can help you build your business and you can help us build ours.
All right, a couple people have actually asked questions about humidifiers. So Esteban asks, any issues with bypass humidifiers? And Kevin asks, does this work okay in conjunction with a wet media humidifier?
So bypass or non-bypass, or steam. I have a steam system at home here, and I've run it in conjunction with my unit since the middle of 2018. There's no problems. Our humidity level rating, I think, goes up to 95%. So I would not have the powered bypass or the bypass immediately in front of the filter that's going to saturate the cartridge. I'm sure that won't work. Just use common sense application and you'll have no problems with it.
Dave asks, what stipulates, I assume he means what stipulations are there on the 90-day dissatisfaction removal replacement warranty?
There really are none. I have no fine print. I'll show you the satisfaction guarantee. It's right here. Now, if somebody takes advantage of me, then we'll just deal with that one-on-one. So if a contractor is clearly trying to abuse this, or a homeowner is, I'll be personally involved if we ever even have one. We have had none. Count on me talking to the homeowner. I absolutely will. And so let's just make sure they're not unhappy. Here's what it says. If you're not satisfied with the effectiveness within 90 days, then your dealer who installed the system will remove the product and refund your purchase price in full. So I don't say any fine print. What I do expect, though, is a certified dealer will install it correctly. I want to know there's adequate return air. I want to know that it was properly sealed, all the best practices. I want to make sure there's no iWave or other PCO devices or anything in there that could have caused a dissatisfaction wasn't related to us. And if we ever run into one of these, then I'll back it up. You get a new unit, no problem. In the meanwhile, you'll have closed 100 jobs based on the confidence that people have with this level of guarantee.
All right. Nick asks, do you have a measurement of how much ion output this product produces compared to other products?
I don't, but I have the more important measurement, which is how effective are we at removing the contaminants from the room and getting them back to the cartridge and then capturing them and removing them. So that measurement is achievable. You need a laser particle control, a laser particle measuring device, which Ryan knows about. He's used it. And that technology we're working on improving here so that we can get one in your hands. They're very expensive. We're trying to get one under $1,000 if you really need to measure the particles. And in my home, I can promise you this is by experience. When I first put one in, I had hundreds of thousands of particles at one particle size, that 0.4 micron, hundreds of thousands per cubic foot. In 24 hours, I dropped it down to under 10,000. That would be a class, what, clean room? I'm not sure what the class levels are. Class 10, class 6, I don't know what it is, but it's a clean room qualification. Again, do the research, read what we've published, talk to Ryan, talk to the other TMs who have put these products in commercially. We've had 100% satisfaction. This product does what it says. I wouldn't be backing up with this type of warranty and guarantee if it didn't.
All right. William asks if you can use this on high static systems. I think he means high velocity systems like Space Pack.
So that was, I'm sorry, Ryan asked that? No, you're Ryan.
William.
William. I actually have in my home where we put the first unit, I have a high velocity system made in Edmonton, Canada. So it's a Canadian version of Space Pack if that's what you have in your home. And I'm running that system. I have since day one, and my product has worked perfectly well. So the answer is yes. You're going to stick it in the return where the velocity is lower, and you have a bigger surface area than the discharge supplies going out. But it works just fine.
We have numerous people asking about further training and becoming a certified dealer and how that training would work.
Awesome. So when we get this all set up, guys, we're going to have product to you. We're backlogged right now, and TEC has put in orders. We're going to have this product on the shelves within, let's call it 30 days. So in between now and then, if your TEC territory manager says you're interested, I find that out, they contact me, say, hey, I've got this dealer and they're interested and they're the right fit, then we will arrange an online training. It's 90 minutes using Zoom, and we'd have the owner and the salespeople and the CSRs and the selling techs, all the installers, as many people as you want in your room on cameras, or these days you'd be at your own houses with separate computers. It's fine. I did 3 of them already today, started at 5 a.m. this morning, and we'll onboard you. That'll be your initial step. Then I'll send you an email, so we set you up with a customer number and we get you on the dealer locator with all the zip codes. I'll coach you on how to get into the website, get all the resources, order the literature, and make sure we work together with your TM to have SecureAire included in your proposal process, and then we're off and running. It takes really just a few hours all told to get this thing up and running full speed.
Terry asks, what's the warranty for non-certified dealer applications?
5 years, full replacement.
Okay.
No labor allowance, 5 years though.
All right. Terry also asks if there is a product that will work with a filter grill application.
There is none at the moment, Terry, and that's, we had to pick and choose, and that's a much lower volume. We can make anything. I would say we're at least a year away from something like that. I know it's a growing market, actually. I know that a lot of new construction now has gone with these units that are installed in the ceilings, and they're self-contained, and I know we need one. Let me give you a better answer. If you tell us what the volume is, that would be something for TEC to do. They give us a volume number, then we can develop a project and work toward it. That's a better answer, and we will work toward it.
All right, let's do one more. Gilbert asks if there's going to be a personal use program for the dealers themselves to try it out at their own homes.
So Gilbert, yes, excellent question. So it's $1,100 if you're not a certified dealer, but if you are a certified dealer, we have such a deal. So the personal use program is this: any member of a distributor, TEC, or authorized dealer, the certified dealer, may purchase one for their personal use in their primary residence. It's, I don't have the back of the form here, but it's $395, and that includes the first replacement cartridge after 90 days, and that includes shipping. Now, why would I be crazy enough, Crazy Tom? You guys have lots of those type of salespeople in Chicago, don't you? Crazy George, Crazy Larry. So why would I be crazy enough to want you to put one in your house at such an incredible discount? I know the answer. You do too. It's when you put this in, you're going to have the experience that I'm sure I'm telling you that you will, but you don't really know it for sure because you haven't lived through it. I lived through all these experiences over the last 18 months. I know this thing will work, but I didn't know that when I started. So when you put it in your house, you'll find out that your pet odors go away, that your kids don't transfer sicknesses as much, that you have less housekeeping, that your blower stays clean, that your airflow isn't restricted, and you have better comfort back in the master bedroom. You're going to discover all these things. Then you'll be able to look your customer in the eye and say, this thing really works. It's a lot of money, but it's worth every penny.
All right, a lot of the other questions are about specific people wanting to become dealers and stuff like that. So I'm going to have you guys all work with your TMs and we'll get that all figured out and get you guys set up.
Great.
So Tom, if you want to jump back into whatever slides you have left and try to bring us home, that'd be awesome.
Okay, let's see, just a couple. Let me show you the actual video that this one is going to be on our website in a couple days. This is the next generation. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's me. And let me get the other one here. QuickTime Player window. Okay, this is our video that's on our. It will be on our website. We have the predecessor to it right now. This is the one that's in the video booklet. The video booklet is this. When you're a certified dealer, you get this video booklet that has the literature pocket and this video plays here. Really cool. Not available in your retail stores. This is the video. Tell me what you think.
Your home is where you and your family live, play, and relax. It is a place of comfort. It's where you feel safe. But the air you're breathing may not be. Our homes are filled with invisible airborne contaminants. Normal household filters are not effective at removing anything but the largest particles. For each large particle of airborne dust that a typical air filter might capture, there are millions of other smaller particles that it can't, including microscopically small pathogens, such as bacteria and viruses, and hundreds of airborne chemical compounds. These contaminants will be inhaled deep into the lungs and absorbed into the bloodstream. From there, they are transported to every organ in the body, including the brain. Doctors and scientists agree it's these smallest contaminants that are the greatest threat to our health. The problem with removing the smallest airborne contaminants is they are unaffected by normal air movement in the home, and they remain suspended in the air like gelatin. There they stay unless something is done to remove them. But SecureAire works differently, proven in demanding clean room and hospital operating room environments. SecureAire's active particle control technology represents an evolutionary breakthrough in how airborne particles, pathogens, and chemical compounds are controlled in your living space. Once installed in your heating and air conditioning system, SecureAire's active particle control begins removing airborne contaminants from every room in your home. Those contaminants are brought back to the air purification cartridge, where they are captured. The pathogens are inactivated and killed, and chemical compounds are broken down into harmless basic elements. Those airborne particles that avoid capture are reconditioned and sent back into the home to act like microscopic magnets and sponges, attracting and absorbing airborne contaminants and returning them to the air purifier for removal. Along with keeping the air that you breathe so much healthier, the SecureAire air purifier is also protecting your heating and air conditioning system from dirt buildup, so you will have fewer maintenance issues. It will last much longer, provide you with more comfort, and save you money on your utility bills. With SecureAire, you have the peace of mind knowing that your air purification system is constantly at work, protecting you and your family with the safest, healthiest, and cleanest air possible today.
I can hear you cheering right now. You can just see yourselves selling thousands of these products and making millions of dollars and helping your customers stay healthy. And a whole bunch of you say, I want one for my house, which is outstanding, and you should. We'll help you out with that. So I think what I'll do here, Ryan, we've gone over our hour, and we could go on for hours and hours more. Let me just go to our website. I'll show you folks where you can go to get a lot more information. Then contact your TM, give him or her evidence of, or tell them that you're interested in this. We'll start getting you, those of you who want to become certified, we'll start that process out. We'll get you all ready to go. So here in 4 weeks, you're going to pass pretty quickly. You'll be all set to go. So let me go up to my site, and you can see my website page, Ryan.
Yes, we can. SecureAire
Okay,
blog.
great. Very good. So start out at residential. Obviously, residential. You can read about the healthcare and commercial if you'd like. Then scroll down and you'll find a number of things. There's the residential brochure. There's what we call a booklet. Now, Ryan has these posted today, and you can download them right from our webinar source right now. Our spec sheet is on there as well. That's not listed. Here's the video, the current video that we have. You can run it from here. You could even send a link with this website to your customer. They could watch it, absolutely. FAQs, does it kill bacteria and viruses? How do you get rid of VOCs? How could this be so effective and not restricted to airflow? When do I need to replace my cartridge? Our FAQs are there. That's one. Second is go to our blog. And if you're working from home, you have time this afternoon to do this if you're really motivated. This is an article I wrote specifically on coronavirus to give our best possible position on that. It references the CDC's position on it as well. This article is the one I showed you from Dr. Mark Arab, where we have been printed or published in the American Journal of Infection Control. So you could download that. You can send it to customers who might be interested. We have a great testimonial here with from a grandmother who put one of these products in early along. Grandmother thanks SecureAire. It's a great testimonial for health improvement. This is a UNICEF video on the damage that small particles do to children as they're growing up. This is Dr. Mark Arab speaking from the Mayo Clinic position around the medical impact, the perspective on SecureAire and how important this is to a person's health. In fact, if you have a doctor or somebody who wants to speak with him, he offers his phone number here to chat with him if that's important. And we have other things here as well. So start there, and then I'll tell you another time about, once you become certified, all the resources that are available in our partner portal and how to get to them. I'll hang out if there's some more questions, Ryan, or we could reply to them separately, but I think I'll just make that the end of our presentation for today.
Thank you, Tom. I've been trying to answer most of them, but I'm going to give you one here from Terrence. If there are multiple furnaces in a home, is it advisable to install one SecureAire unit per furnace or one for the whole house enough?
It's a great question. So when we treat the particles that get to the air purifier initially, we use the ion process without ozone to make particles clump up. We capture them and we do our magic to them. Some of the smallest ones, though, escape. And when they escape, we create what we call net neutrals out of them and think of them as tiny sponges and magnets together. They have lots of different positive and negative sites on them. It's called net neutral. This is in the brochure, what makes SecureAire unique. You'll read about this. So we send those net neutrals out, billions of them, into the space, and they're going to go start attracting and collecting and absorbing stuff until it gets big enough that it gets pulled back again to the cartridge. So that doesn't restrict itself to one system. It's going to migrate itself into other rooms. So you have to have one for the whole house? Not. The main system, is that going to impact the rest of the house as well as having multiple units on multiple systems? No. Is it going to be effective to some degree in other rooms? Yes.
I think we're caught up on the majority of the questions. I'm still answering a few here, but I think we've got them all caught up.
All right, great. Well, this is recorded. Thank you, Ryan, for doing that. Thank you, folks, for joining us. Thanks to all the TEC folks for dragging you guys and gals to listen to us here for this hour. Looking forward to working with all of you, and have a great, safe day. Stay away from people. 6 feet. That's it. 6 feet. Wash your hands. Take care.
Thank you very much, Tom. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.